Cool. So I don't know if you've been paying attention to some of the beef out there on your side of the world right now.
No.
Mooney has come out and
Oh
said
yeah,
that
Justin
Justin
Fields,
Fields
right?
is going to make the 49ers regret passing on him. A lot of reports have come out that Justin Fields, this is going to be like a revenge game for him. Not only, I think, because, obviously the 49ers passed on him to go with Trey Lance, but also the 49ers handed Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears an L last season as well. And, I like Justin Fields. I'm a fan of his. I actually thought the 49ers were going to take him, and it ended up being Trey Lance. But this is a very interesting game because both of these guys are second-year players. Both of these guys are getting the full offseason, the full keys to the Lamborghini, or I don't know if the Bears are a Lamborghini right now, but at least the full keys to the offense. It's going to be, one of those head-to-head matchups against who is the better quarterback. So I'm not talking about who's going to win because obviously that's more than just the quarterback play, Rohan. I want this to be specific to who has the better game. Does Trey Lance or Justin Field at the end of this game? Who has the better stat line? Who overall had played the better game?
This is interesting, right? Because if we're talking statistically and playing the better game might not always correlate, right? Like last year, for example, I think Justin Fields passed for close to 180 to maybe 200 yards in the game that he played against the 49ers, but he also ran for 101 yards. If I remember correctly, he passed for nearly 175 yards in that game, about an interception. I think an interception and a touchdown, and then 101 yards and a touchdown on 10 carries. I think Fields, it's tough to say whether Fields or Lance will get more rushing volume, but I do think Fields will get more yards on his rushing attempts because they won't necessarily be design plays, but rather scramble plays
He's
a
going to
lot.
be running for his life.
Exactly. They won't be design plays, but rather scramble plays instead. And so I think that that'll increase the opportunity, whereas instead of it being a designed run. So Fields could get more rushing output. Passing wise, it truly like, will Trey Lance really eclipse 250 yards if the 49ers are up by 28 to 30 points? No, right? They're going to throw the ball a good amount. So I'm not exactly sure what to expect from Trey Lance. So statistically, I think the argument can be made for Justin Fields, but who has a better control? I do think Trey Lance will have a better game overall because the 49ers are going to win. And I understand it's a team sport, but I think Trey Lance is going to be able to produce enough offense to do so just because he's got better weapons, right? Even if it's screen passes, Lance's stats are going to get padded. So, yeah, definitely. I think I'm going to go with Trey Lance here. How about you?
Okay. Yeah, so this is where it's interesting because I think that Trey doesn't have to have an amazing game for the 49ers to win. Justin Fields has to play amazing for his team to have any shot to keep it close, right? So just based off of opportunity, I do believe that Justin Fields is going to get more of an opportunity to have like the game in his hands, to have the type of like to have the responsibility to do more, which obviously gives him the opportunity to do more as well, right? I also
Right.
think that he has way harder of a job than Trey Lance has as well, right? Because he's going up against, I think, is going to be the best defense, or at least a top 5 defense in the league. He doesn't have the same type of weapons that Trey Lance has. And, he's got a brand new coach, brand new offense. Like, he has just way more obstacles to overcome to be successful than Trey Lance does. With that being said, I think if you go stat line for stat line, I still think that Trey Lance is going to be a lot better because this is
Okay.
going to be a tough night out for Justin Fields. I think he's going to have way more opportunity. He probably will have more yards rushing, but I think you're going to see a lot more turnovers in his stat line, probably not as many touchdowns in his stat line, and a lot more sacks in his stat line as well. So with that being said, I think it's just going to be tough for him to overall have a better stat line than Trey Lance. Um, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna agree with you and say I think Trey Lance at the end of this looks like the better quarterback, just because he has. It's kind of like running a mile on running a mile on flat terrain versus a 10 incline, right?
Right.
You're doing the same activity, but one's way harder than the other. So probably the guy running on flat terrain is gonna end up running a faster mile, looking better, and with less fatigue, even though it was a much easier job for him. And I think that's kind of where it's gonna end up for Lance versus Justin Fields
Yeah.
after week 1.
I think that that's a fair argument. Like I said, I think you can definitely make the argument for Justin Fields. I don't think that that's unwarranted at all. But yeah, that's a fair argument.